Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm back. Haven't been producing a lot of content, trying to grow this gun store, trying to get more people in the door, getting prepared to take this trip. I will be back with more content, but today, you already know the man to the left of me. And if you don't, go check out the old content because this guy's dope. He's fly. So I'm going to have him, of course, introduce himself today again, but also to the right of me, I got another cool, dope, fly guy, and I'm going to have him introduce himself as well. So I'm going to give the floor to Rob, have you introduce yourself again, tell these guys who you are, in case they don't already know. Because that last video that last podcast we did went nuts. So let them know.
RB from Defensive Training Solutions 540.
Awesome. And this man to my right.
Yeah, well, my name is Sidney Floyd. I am a life coach. I also have a business where I make tumblers and different kind of drinkware, if you will. Should I say drinkware or drink vessels? I don't know. Anyway, yeah, I'm funny like that. So, but yeah, I do T-shirts and all of those different kind of things. So that's it.
Name? I know you're
Uncaged Intellect.
There you go.
You can follow me on my Facebook page, which is also Uncaged Intellect.
Well, how'd you come up with that that name?
Well, I was actually at my son's house, and his wife came up with the name. So we were just kind of like hashing around different kind of names, and she said, "What about Uncaged Intellect?" I said, "Wow, that sounds pretty cool." So there's a lot that goes with Uncaged Intellect. I was incarcerated for many years, and that was the uncaged is a symbol of being free from the thought of prison, being free from, because a lot of times people come home and they come home but they're still incarcerated and they don't know how to get out of it. So that was a ome to I'm no longer incarcerated. No police officer can incarcerate me again. I'm not afraid of them anymore.
Right.
You know, and so and then I'm intelligent. So Absolutely. You have to be intelligent to break out of those boxes. Absolutely. You know, so that's where I got the whole Uncaged Intellect from.
That's dope. So the cool part and why I wanted to bring you both on the podcast at the same time is because the way that I met you both was very genuine and organic, and we just vibed and clicked together. When Rob came in, he came in through a third party, same as you did, and it was like, there's a new gun store in Durham, and being that you're both into guns, you paid me a visit, and your responses were very similar, if not identical. Because when I looked up and you made eye contact with me, you're like, oh, there's a brother. He looks like me, right? And that, to me, was important because that was one of the reasons that I got into the FFL part of it, was because I felt that we weren't represented enough in the community with regards to owning gun stores. With regards to having our pistol permits, the numbers are increasing. We got to keep on par with the women because the women are definitely got us by leaps and bounds with regards to growth. But it was the capacity in which you handled yourselves and the demeanor and the energy that you both possess that made me think, well, these guys have two different backgrounds, which, for a lack of a better word, in the streets, we would call it ops, right? Right? Because your background is your background, which is incarceration and the things that you did that led you to be incarcerated. And for a lack of, again, better word or terminology, this guy to my left, job and responsibility is to reinforce law and order. And so I was like, God, my brain is cooking, right? We both, our schedules worked out where all three of us could be in the studio together at the same time. But I wanted to be the person in the middle that throw a question out there and allow you guys from different worlds come and have a conversation about what it's like from this side lens and what it's like from the other side lens. Because a lot of times people like to interject and say, well, I'm a cop, but it's a one-way conversation. Or I used to be a former XYZ, and this is through my lens. But bring those two worlds together in a controlled environment, right? Because you're not living that life anymore. Rob is living Rob's life. Right? Rob's in transition. Rob's in transition. So what I want you to do, because I know, but if you want to give, if you don't, I'm going to pull it out of you. More detail about that life prior to your transformation and your growth from that uncaged intellect. Uncaged intellect.
All right, so what is it that you want to know?
Well, the last time I did a podcast, I was doing it with a female who was the victim of gun violence. You and I was having a conversation, and because you have religious background, spiritual background, right? You're, can I say, preacher, right? You disclosed amongst friendly conversation part of your past. And I was like, oh, that got me thinking, right? Because you speak very well. You carry yourself very well. But you have a past that got busy. You got busy. And so if you don't say it, I'm going to start asking you questions that's going to start pulling out some of those.
It's okay. It's okay. So
let me say this. One of my favorite artists, Jay-Z, said, I don't respect the person that got shot. I respect the shooter. So I know, and I'm going to say it now, and you can just fill in, you was a shooter. You got busy.
Well, I'll say it like this. In the era that I grew up in the 80s, 90s. So in the era that I grew up in, it wasn't about really being a quote unquote shooter. It was about being a survivalist. It wasn't about all the stuff that I'm learning about guns now is amazing. I never knew all that stuff. I never knew about sights and all these different things because it was survival. It wasn't about knowing how to break a gun down and put it back together. It wasn't none of that. It was like, listen, there's no ranges. We was no target practice. When you got it messed up, that's what we did it at.
Right.
Most of the people that go to prison for shooting somebody, they don't know how to shoot a gun. They don't even know what a battery is. They don't. So there's no education. So there is no skill involved in that. There's no skill in walking up on somebody and busting them. There's no skill in that. That's just pure emotion, pure feeling, pain, hurt, trauma. That's what that is.
So your range was the block.
Yes.
And your paper target was
Well, it wasn't paper, flesh targets.
Flesh targets.
So like I said, things happen. High pressure situations happen. It pushes you against the wall. You got to think. Is it's going to be you or them? And you make a way for it to work. That's what it is. There's no skill. And I hear this. So quick story. I was in New York one time. I was going to cop some drugs, and these guys came to rob me. And when they came to rob me, I saw it happening. It was just, you just know when something's about to happen. I just saw it happening. They grabbed the door and pushed it where I couldn't get out. Then the other guy made a mistake to open the door. When he opened the door, I pushed him out of the way, and I was afraid. So now mind you, I had $7,200 in my pocket on my person. First of all, you're not getting that money unless the dude pulls out a knife, the other dude pulls out a gun, they're in close proximity. I was afraid. So all I did was put my hands up and started swinging at anything that I can see. that's what I knew. That was survival. I'm not gonna sit here and try to, put no gas on it and try to say, oh, because I know, no, didn't know none of that. No, I didn't know none of that. I knew the block that I was on, death was coming, and I had to do what I needed to do. The sorry part about the whole story is, I got away and went back and got the drugs.
The job doesn't stop. The mission has to be completed.
But my life was in jeopardy. So what happened here? Do you see how far the mind goes when you're involved in that kind of a lifestyle? And so we have police officers that don't really understand the dynamics of that and say, I'm doing my job. But I'm doing my job too.
Right.
So there is definitely a clash when that happens. Not sure that there would ever be a solace or a ground that, that would be mutual with that, because there's two different things, serve and protect, and then the drug dealer is not serving and protecting nothing but itself, and they're bringing a whole bunch of pain to their society. So how does that work?
When you look at it like that, right, Rob, part of your job is to keep the society that is not partaking in horrific acts of violence in order to a degree. When you hear someone that tells you, like, he never said, like, I'm the toughest, the thug. He was like, I'm afraid. I was afraid. I swung at everything that's moving. But when you're coming in to respond to a call, what are same situation, right? For example, he was shot, right? Same incident, same story. The only difference is there's actually a gunshot victim. What is your mentality like?
So I only can answer that from personal experience. Okay, I grew up in New Britain. I grew up in the projects. I have friends in the same type of environment. Okay, cousins doing the same thing. I spent 3.5 years in the Department of Corrections myself, but as a correction officer, and it was one of the most humbling experiences, because at any one given time, out of the 5 of us, or anyone in society who has a luxurious life, a great life, successful, can find ourselves there. What a lot of people do is put a stigma on those who are incarcerated. And let me explain something to everyone. You have some of the most intelligent men and women, gifted and talented in the Department of Corrections, made a bad decision. Some poor decisions because of selfishness, but other decisions based on their time of survival. So I get that, and I understand that. So when I didn't spend a lot of time on the streets of New Haven, but I always learned, and I was always taught, be humble. Never take this job, and that's what it is. It's an honorable career, but never take it personal. And treat people with humility, regardless what they look like, what they've done. One of the things when we were in Department of Corrections, they always said, don't look at the person's card, which has all the information on it. And that's one thing I never did. I always saw, like, somebody serving 999 years. I was like, how is that? Did I come back? And you always go about life as a law enforcement officer or a cop or CEO that way. So the short period of time that I was on the streets working Hill North, predominantly Hill North, there was a lot of drug dealing going on. And it was the typical cops and robber. You know, you hide out, you see the transaction, you go, and if you get a bundle, if you get money, you get guns. But you know what? If you had to fight that individual, and I've always taught recruits this, the same thing, and pick them up, dust them off, and that's another man, just like you are. And you try to understand life that way, or go about doing your job that way. Some of us don't, because of where we are from. and where we grew up in our values, our ethics and morals, and so forth. That's why I give a lot of credit, and a lot of people don't understand this, is the departments like New Haven, West Haven, where there's a lot of diversity in the community, they want folks with some background with that represents their town, because they understand the plights, they understand the challenges, and recruiting someone who doesn't know that's where you get the excessive force, the excessive language, and the disrespect, and that just breeds that mentality that people don't like the cops. Because sometimes, let's be honest, okay? I know I'm going to get some slack for this, but cops create some of the crap we do. You know,
elaborate. What do you mean by that?
We do some dumb shit, point blank, and then unfortunately, and you just know that administrations try to hide it.
Gotcha.
Depending on who they are, they try to cover it instead of saying, you know what, Rob Strickland, he messed up. This is what happened. This is what we're doing to fix it.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
You know,
yeah, that makes perfect sense.
I think we have to always look at the point that cops are human, and they're dirtbags too.
Yeah,
they're human. Right?
Why? Why is that
human.
though? Why is that? Because we recruit from the human race.
Yeah.
You are no different than I. I'm no different than you.
I mean, they're human. So you can't, you can't say that, because there are people that took the oath and took it from the heart. There were some took the oath for the paycheck.
That's right.
It's a difference. Yeah. After they got finished accepting that oath, they was like, all right, give me my pistol, let's roll. Mm-hmm. I'm ready to do whatever. I'm a vigilante. I'm ready to do whatever. I bust heads open and whatever. I'm down. I'm around for it. Then you have some, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to do it this way. Our charter says this is what we're going to do. These are the rules. No, I'm going to treat this person with respect. No, I'm not going to do this. We're going to do this.
That's right.
So it's the person. It's not the job. Mm. I've never been a police officer, but it's not the job. Because I believe that there are good police officers out there. I don't care what people say.
Sid's right. Sid's right.
I believe that.
When you look at it, there's 1% of law enforcement that honestly should not be sometimes human. Mm-hmm. Let's be candid
sometimes
about
human?
It.
Oh, they can.
No, they shouldn't be, because just like you said, we recruit from the human race.
Yeah.
Anybody can answer questions, mm-hmm. right? Make them seem like they're nothing but sunshine. Anybody who got a halfway decent brain can take a test.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep,
you can play this. You can play the system.
Mm-hmm.
And under the other thing is, you hear a lot of documentary about gang members.
Mm.
Okay, in the law enforcement, in the military. Mm-hmm. All right, times has changed. There are very intelligent people that are being recruited, and law enforcement don't know, military don't know. Mm-hmm. And they come with that intent of, whatever it may be, why they're there. And there are people there that are within us that don't have goodwill, goodwill. You know what I'm saying?
Thanks.
So that's important that you say that, Sid, that we recruit from the human race. And there's this saying that what is it? You can tell I'm getting old. You're held to a higher standard. What does that mean? I get it to some degree, but we're human. Mm-hmm. And we're going to make mistakes, and we just got to be transparent about it and accountable for it. Mm-hmm. But there is a very small percentage of bad cops out there that really makes it look bad. One of the things I want to really stress out too, on the same hand, I always tell cops that, we there's times we bash cops, but I also tell cops that just because the brother or the person of color, Hispanic, is out on the street with their jeans on, their Timbs and their hoodies, they're not a bad person.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? So it's both ways. Mm-hmm. It's both ways.
And that's where, like, a lot of times I kind of harp on, and I'm proud of towns diversifying their force. And what I mean by diversifying, meaning trying their best to select officers from within the community. because like I know that our culture is very, very strong and dominant. But officers enforce laws in the inner city that's not enforced outside of. Meaning, when in high school, you would have saw me with my pants down because that's what was cool. But if you go into a suburb, the same Tom, John, and whoever's doing the same thing, they just don't look like me. Therefore, you don't see it as a threat. You call them a punk. You call me a thug, right? Same behavior, different terminology, and by definition, completely different. A punk, you're not threatened by a punk. You're just a punk. You're just a young kid that's not have their head or mature yet. But if you're a thug, you're saying that I'm conscientious about my decisions and I'm being disruptive to society. And that's not necessarily true.
But when you use yourself as the person in a city with that attire, and you used the suburb, do you think it's not just the location, or is it the tone of your skin is influenced?
Absolutely both. So I'm gonna be perceived the same. Yes, I got a little fairness that helps. So let's put that into perspective, because that my skin complexion has helped me, and if we ever go down that rabbit hole, I'll speak to that as well. But picture me being the complexion of you, right, or Sid, and I might be the only black family, or we might be the only black family that live in a town like Ossabarook, or the only black family that's in a town like Madison. We are kind of protected because they understand, oh, that's just the black family that's part of our town, right? So that's something. So I think location matters, but you're also not given the same benefit of the doubt because of your complexion. Like, again, until they get really familiar with your father and mother, you are a threat, especially if you're an inner city family moving out there because dad now has a good job or mom now has a good job. Versus if you were born amongst them, there's a different level of acceptance. Another thing that happens, and I'm going down a different rabbit hole, is the school systems that allow kids from the inner city to be bused into other school districts, right? We're saying we want to give them an opportunity to have access to a better education. But I've spoken to, and it's not everyone, but I've spoken to young black kids who family thought that Cheshire was the better way, or North Haven was the better way, Guilford was the better way. And their kids are not able to acclimate within. They are constantly feeling like an outcast, like they're not accepted. Why? It's not that we go to the same school together, but when we leave this classroom, you bring your back to New Haven or Bridgeport or Hartford or whatever, and they go to the same after school programs together. They go to the same fairs together. They go on the weekend to the same extracurricular activities. And that's where you have to understand that although you are amongst as a crowd, you're always going to stand out because our culture is different. People love our culture. The world loves our culture. Our culture sells more than anything. But they only want our culture because it's profitable. The moment that the culture isn't profitable, then we don't want it, because as you know, and if you don't know me, I say this all the time, prior to whatever year it was, I had dreads. I could sit on my dreads, and when I'm not in these garments, I'm covered in tattoos. When I cut my hair and wore button-up shirts, I started moving up the corporate ladder. Quickly. I'm talking about quickly. The education didn't change. The attitude didn't change. My ability to articulate didn't change. My appearance changed. And only my appearance. I did two things. I covered up my arms and I cut my hair. That's all that changed. So if I'm living proof, and whether that's in the classroom on a collegiate level or in the workforce and a professional level, at both ends of it, I was perceived and I was received much better. I guarantee you that in the 2A community, I'm received better because I don't have dreads. The tattoos, if I'm like, no one knows, I can cover that up, and none of my tattoos are offensive to me. They're not offensive. But this community could be very, 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 very selective.
What community are you referring to?
The 2A community.
What do you mean by that?
I'm talking about the gun culture, and that's why it's important for people like you, no matter what your past is, to get a part in and get a part of it. People like you who are already amongst it to really be invested in it, because I'm not sure. Well, you can't because you're in it. But I used to be in a closet, and no, I'm not talking about my sexuality. I'm referring to the gun closet. And when I refer to the gun closet, because of the community I come from, because of the family I come from, I was afraid to let the world know that I really, really geek out about this gun stuff. Like, I geek the hell out about this gun stuff.
I can see why.
Yeah. And so why is it in our community, even amongst my family know me my entire life. They're the ones that steered me to college. If it was up to me, I would have went to gunsmith at school. I'd have went out north or up out west and went to SDI or something like that and just geeked out and did a 2-year program, learned about guns and been an insane gun fabricator or manufacturer or gunsmith. Your black ass going to college. Yes, you going to school, right? And I'm not a huge advocate for school, but as a background in education, I understand it helped me to a degree. My time in college really just got me some really dope, cool friends. That's what I say. I came out with debt. I got into a job and a career, and I disliked it. I won't say hate because the kids were cool, and some of the staff was cool. But other than that, I disliked it.
What was that career?
I was a school teacher and social worker.
Wow.
So I went home with everybody else's problem. And then going back to what you were saying, because I'm a human being, when I dealt with individuals in social services, I didn't look at their cases. I didn't look to see, because I wanted to view them through the lens of purity, right? I know that I dealt with mental health. I dealt with behaviors, the adjudicated population, the parole population, the probation population. If I dealt with those individuals through the lens of, oh, this person is in this program because they was released because they have a felony for statutory rape. Right? This is a real story without disclosing any names. The 18-year-old or the 19-year-old was in a relationship with a 16-year-old or a 17-year-old. And now he's in my program, and I'm talking to this young man who's now maybe 20-something or between 20 and 25, right? If I look at that, I'm like, I have little nieces. You scumbag. Yeah. I have sisters. You MF, right? I want to choke you. But because now I have a bias and I'm prejudiced.
Right.
When they tell you the story, he's like, we were madly in love. Outside of, that age group, you could be 21 and date a 56-year-old, right? You could be 20. They could be 20 years older. And so, I mean, our society, don't get me wrong, I understand why there's laws and rules. There has to be, because there's some sickos out there.
Yeah, definitely.
Right.
But there's also that gray area where I had to allow myself to digest what this person is saying. I'm 18. We were classmates, right? So if I'm 18 about to graduate my senior year, this person is a sophomore. 2 years, we shared a lot of time in school together. We fall in love. And we say, don't wait to fall in love. Wait till you both graduate high school to fall in love. And outside of that, 21, he's 23, she's 21. He's 25, she's 23. The age difference never changed.
Yeah.
It's just really understanding, if I read this file, I don't even give this individual a chance. Right. And that's the same with what you were saying in the DOC, right? You don't give Sidney a chance. If he comes in, you're like, yo, he's in prison because he accidentally shot a 13-year-old girl. They might not tell you that he was defending himself, and because he sucks at shooting, right? Because he can't shoot, he missed his target, and the 13-year-old girl was subsequently hit.
And that's usually the case.
Yeah, because
95% of the time, that's usually the case. You don't really see cases where the assailant really wanted to shoot the 13-year-old.
Right.
You don't really see too many cases like that. There maybe are some, but I don't really know too many. I'm trying to be fair for the podcast, of course, but I don't know too many people that are just running around shooting babies.
Facts.
Right. Yeah.
You know, you have your cycles, but those are they're in Arizona somewhere. You know how they get down. They're all the way out there in the mountains somewhere.
Yeah,
They do that old crazy stuff out there, right? Yeah, but you don't see a lot of that. A lot of times, sometimes the kid is in the way. Sometimes it's because of poor aim, poor gun education, where there is no gun education. Right. I think though that plays the factor, opposed to the way that the news say it. The news says, "Oh, a 13-year-old kid got hit and this person did it." But do you understand that the person that was behind the 13-year-old that got shot was the one doing the shooting? And he replied out of reaction, not response.
Expand on that.
So a reaction is, if I hit you, you hit me back. Right? The response is, I think about what I do before I do it. Right? So that's what happens. The streets are reactive. That makes a lot of sense now, right? The streets are very reactive, because if I know that I'm going to go do 40 to 50 years, will I react the same way? Or will I respond? No, I'm going to respond because I understand that, because I'm thinking about it now. And 50 don't look good. 50 don't look good at 55. Right?
No.
Right? So I began to start responding, a two-part response.
Makes sense.
I respond to myself. This is all life coach stuff, guys. I respond to myself to make sure that I'm taking care of myself and my family. And then I respond to the situation. Now, when I respond to the situation, I have all these things that I have to be responsible for. My kids, my wife, my family, my church family, the people that I have impacted over the years. Am I willing to throw all that away? I know that's a lot in a response, but when you really think about it, isn't that what a response is?
Response comes with responsibility.
A whole lot of responsibility.
I got to ask you a question.
Okay.
The system seemed like it worked for you.
Bullshit. A bullshit. A bullshit.
Well, hold on. There was a system.
Okay.
Called corrections. Okay. We know from being incarcerated, doing time, we know what that system is. Some people say our correctional system is horrible. But listening to you, what is the difference that, like you said, catching another 50 ain't good at 55? You know, what changed? What did it? Was it something inside, or was it the time you had to think about future reaction or versus response? You know what I'm saying? So what was it that...
A lot of things began to start happening when you are repeatedly going back and forth to jail and having the mind thought of trying to do it again and recreating the drug game and doing all these different things. So what happened with me was my last bid, I came to a place of suicide. And I was just out of it at this particular point. I never forget it. I was in Fairmont. This was when they had Fairmont. And I went to my bunk and I said, God, you know what? I just want to die. Just kill me in my sleep. Because I didn't know how to stop. I wasn't addicted. I didn't have no chemical addiction to drugs. But I didn't know how to stop selling these drugs, man. So the girl that I was dealing with, she ran off and got with somebody else. This particular person took my clothes, took all of my sneakers, shoes, and all these different things. Was driving around in my car. It was a lot going on, and it was just so much pressure. So I said, well, God, if you're real, I'm going to go to church on Tuesday. Because they had the Bible studies on Tuesday. I said, if you're real, I'll go to church on Tuesdays. Well, guess what? I made it to church on Tuesday. Didn't kill myself. Right? So I made the church on Tuesday, and I made a conscious decision to receive Jesus Christ as my personal Savior. That changed the directory of my life right there. I didn't do everything right after that. Don't get it twisted.
Okay. All right.
It wasn't magic. It's just not magic.
All right.
It's not magic at all. But it took work. And because God saved my life and I can see a change in the way that I was thinking, that changed the directory. And that's why now, while I'm okay, so I came home and I had a real bad experience where I found a guy that, had took the girlfriend and had my clothes and all these kind of things. And I went to a friend of mine and I said, hey man, why don't you give me one of your guns? I'm going to go handle something. And for the first time in my life, he said no.
Wow.
And I couldn't believe it.
The friend said no.
Yeah, he said no.
I thought you said God. I thought you were about to say God said no. I was saying, oh shoot.
Well, he said no too.
Yeah,
because God uses people, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
So he said no. I was startled. Like I was like, what are you talking about? You're gonna say no to me? He said, man, listen, I can see there's a change in your life. And he said that you still got to go back and do that time. So like, why would you want to? And he's having this conversation with me, and I'm not understanding this. I'm not understanding it, but God uses people in mysterious ways, right? So my plans was to go blow his head off. That was my plans. My plans was to go get him. And this is the thing. When you have real people in your life that know what you're capable of doing, they won't allow you to do it. If I wasn't capable of doing it, he would have gave me the gun.
Right.
But he knew that my anger would be something of passion. And crimes of passion is a whole different mental thing that goes with that. And he understood that if I got the gun, that I was going to actually go through the whole process in order to do what I needed to do. So incarceration will change your life if you get tired of people telling you what to do. You have to get tired of it. So you compose to everything that they say. You have to get tired of it. You have to understand, most men that are incarcerated, they don't know how to take care of themselves because there's no classes with that. They don't know about colon cancer because there's no classes for that. They don't get educated on their bodies because there's no classes for that. They feed you a bunch of Motrin. I don't care if you got cancer, 4th stage, you're going to get some Motrin.
Stage 1 through 4, huh? No matter what the diagnosis is.
And then what happens is these guys come home with a lot of kidney issues because of the Motrin. These are the things that you don't see.
Right.
No one talks about.
No one talks about
that stuff, right?
Oh, they love Motrin. They give you Motrin. Motrin for everything. Everybody gets Motrin.
You got to make a T-shirt. I swear you got to put that on a T-shirt.
You gotta put that on,
you get Motrin. You get Motrin. You get Motrin.
Got Motrin?
Yeah, you got Motrin? Yeah. So these are the kind of things that happen, you know, when you're incarcerated. So there's a lot of things that you have to get tired of. There are some people that they're nobody on the streets. But man, give them a good month to get their self back. That drug addict that people slapping in the street, you ain't gonna slap him. Listen, you ain't gonna slap him in jail. It's not gonna work.
His house.
That's his house.
That's what.
Give him a little bit of time to get the monkey off his back and get that dope out of his system. He gonna swell up like a marshmallow, and he gonna be slapping everybody and taking their money, taking their soups. Yeah. He won't have. He don't need to write home for no money. But that's the culture,
Right?
And I always got along with those kind of people. They were always people that were always there for me. Like anything that happened, they always came to my aid. It was like, yo, man, you a good dude, man, and you know, I was like, all right, that was cool. So when I got involved with the gangs, it enhanced me because I was always the kind of guy where I'm going to do it first. So when I got to a point where I was able to run a gang, I used to do things where, like, say for instance, there's a big beef and the Kings are beefing with these people, that people. First thing that I'm going to do is say, well, I tell you what, you the president, so let's go in the bathroom and fight.
Mm-hmm.
And usually they don't want to do that because they got their boys doing it.
Right.
I was the one to say, you know what? Well, no, let's fight. This way they don't have to fight.
Mm-hmm.
There won't be another lockdown because somebody's going to die, usually. There won't be another lockdown. It won't be a month lockdown, and it's going to be easier on us. And usually the beef just goes away.
Question. Now, when you say you did time, right, and you saying the different locations, are you saying you doing state local time or you doing fed time?
I'm doing state local time.
State local time?
Yeah, state time.
In state of Connecticut?
Yes, state of Connecticut.
Got you. And you're at level 5 prisons, level 2, 3?
5. I did Northern. I did Summers. I did Enfield. I did Brooklyn. There's a place, I can't think of the name. It was another level 2 that I did also, but it got to a point where I always went to level 5s because of the amount of time that I had. And you know how that goes or whatever.
So educate? No, I don't know. Okay, he might know. I don't know.
Yeah.
So if you get sentenced to more, I believe it's more than 10 years or something like that. I believe.
And the crime.
Yeah, it's the crime. Okay. Yeah, the crime and the time, it pushes your level up.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So my crimes and my time always, whether the crime was low, but the time was high, it still evened me out to be at a level 5.
Got you. And it's not because of your repetitiveness that led you to 5.
Well, then again, I was SRG.
So that's what I understand Northern was.
Yeah.
Was that level. There's 5 is the highest, but then there was Northern and then there was Supermax. And,
the Supermax, yeah.
Yeah.
So for us non-Department of Correction residents and non-Department of workers, what the heck is SRG?
That's when you're gang affiliated.
Oh, okay.
Security risk groups.
Yep, security risk groups. I was gang affiliated at that time. So there was a pod, I believe it was B pod that they would put you in. So it was A and B. So I was in B pod, which was the gang, the whole little thing. So when I left there, I went to Enfield. After going to Enfield, I had to fight in order to go to, I had to actually fight with the council. It's like, yo, why can't I go to Gates? Like, why can't I go to a lower level? They was like, listen, first of all, your mental status ain't there. And, you know, your PSI is not saying that it goes all the way up to the top. Mm-hmm. Like, there's a problem there because there's security risk that goes with that kind of thing.
Right.
Because I don't usually do good with that kind of interaction.
Got you.
with a lot of people around you, because that I'm gonna be telling people to do different things, and it's not the place for that. You know what I'm saying?
When you say level 5, what kind of individuals do you get to be amongst or be around and be involved with at level 5?
Oh yeah. See, now this is where it really gets thick. See, now see, level 5, you're around wood chippers. You're around it.
What the hell is a wood chipper, bro?
Okay, so you remember that guy that chopped his wife up?
Oh, okay, yes.
I ate
Level 5.
I ate chow with him.
Oh, you did? Mm-hmm.
So this is when I was in Summers. Mm-hmm. So that's that kind of thing I'm talking about. So you're around people that did the that did the massive shootings and all that kind of. You're around these kind of people. The first cellmate I ever had in my whole entire life had 75 years.
And you was doing what? How much time you
I
had?
had 10 suspended after 3 or something like
That don't even make sense.
at that particular time.
That don't even make sense.
It doesn't.
And you got your bearings. You're not cuckoo for cocoa
But that
puffs.
was 89.
That's my saying. I'm just saying.
But that was 89.
Yeah.
So the whole system was different back then. Now, I guess it's a little bit different now, but it was different back then, you know? So you're around a whole plethora of people. Even when you're doing your intake. You know, you're doing your intake, you're around all these people. You know, and I can remember I'm doing my intake in Northern, and you know, we just there talking, and you know, the guy was like, yeah, man, well, you know, I'm here and blah 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 blah. And then when I kind of like heard them doing the his rap sheet and all the different kind of things, his intake and everything. Instead, okay, sir, so it says here that you have 3 life sentences.
That's that 999 years.
You see this dude, the way he looked, he gave something like, this is who I gotta live with? Is this who I gotta live with?
But the thing is, with me, I've gotten used to it, so I'm okay with it. I've gotten used to rocking with people like that. Most of my family has been incarcerated and are incarcerated. I have 2 cousins now that have 3 life sentences, plus 90.
That's not right.
It's not right.
That doesn't make any sense.
So, you know, I'm around that. I'm around for it. So I've always been that voice of reasoning, that solace, that peace, you know, that equilibrium, if you will, in those environments. And I really dedicate that to God, being knowing who I was before I gave my life to Him, to be able to bring that evenness to the system.
That makes sense. Earlier, you mentioned a lack of gun knowledge when individuals are on the street. And one of the things that a lot of people do now, they get their gun knowledge from the internet, from social media. Heavy on YouTube, right? Everybody, if you want to see what the new gun is, if you want to see what the new coolest thing is, new techniques and things like that, you go to YouTube. YouTube wasn't there for you, all right?
Know nothing about it.
YouTube wasn't there for you, but
Little Pookie and Little Joe, they was there. My man's in them.
my man's in them.
They was there. Yup. They was there. They was there all the time. Yeah, that's who it was. Yeah, the dude that came home from the army and he was always a drug addict and he didn't really want to go anyway. Well, he know a lot about guns now. so now if I need my pin changed in my gun so that my clip can work better, he knows how to do it. He knows how to spread the pin out, you know, and do what he need to do. He can create clips that are longer than your leg, right?
In military madness.
He knows how to do that, you know. So that's the environment.
And so now that these youth have access to this secondhand form of education, I'm a huge advocate. Like, hey, learn something about guns, and YouTube University is okay. But when it comes to the absolute application of applying those skills or that knowledge that you obtained from YouTube into a real life situation, it doesn't transfer.
It doesn't.
It doesn't transfer. And have had students that play Call of Duty, and I can't light a candle to their ability of Call of Duty. They'll probably kill me 100 times before I can kill them once. And get a actual real gun in their hand, and they think that their skill set on Call of Duty is transferable to real life. And had a dude, and this is kind of stuff he and I talk about when we talk about instructor stuff, said, I figured if I could see it like I see it on the screen, I would hit it. Bullshit. I'm talking about those all over the place, ceiling, floor. And you see me where I'm very methodical, and this is Mr. Miyagi with regards to this gun stuff. This is Mr. Miyagi. He's taking you through the progressions.
I love it. That's good.
You've trained with me, right? All the shooting you've done in the 80s and 90s, right? You might have touched some of the cool stuff, right? Back when we had the
real
Mac
cool
11,
stuff.
you had the access to
Mac 10,
Mac,
all that, yeah.
the stuff that, Uzis, all that stuff.
All that stuff,
He's telling me stories. I'm like, dang, bro, I'm the FFL, and I don't even have that. I don't even have the Mac 11, Mac 10.
Calicos, all those,
So, but then, like you said, there was no proper form of education. And you're like, yo.
Listen, everything that I learned back then, I threw it in the trash. Shooting like this, you threw it in the trash.
Don't get him started about grape, because he'll tell you that's okay. It's okay.
To a certain degree, it is okay.
I mean, life happens, and if that's all you got, that's all you got, then you work with it.
But he's gonna elaborate, and that's the cool part. Watch how he because that before you came in, he was actually showing me a target, which is crazy, right? How he went to that, and then we could tie it all in. That there's people who shoot a gun like this, and can shoot it better than someone who's shooting it like this.
Nice.
Or someone who could shoot a gun like this. I can shoot a gun like this better than I've seen people shoot a gun like this. And explain. This is Mr. Miyagi. I don't know why I can do it like that, but he can articulate as far as.
What I know is from experience of watching clients, or I should say more students, and it works off the harmonious movements of your body, ergonomics. If you stood up right now, hands down by your side, you'll see that there's a natural turn into your hands. To the untrained person who grabs a gun and put their hand up, just like if you took your hand and put it up to the producer, you'll see that you don't put your hand up like this. You put it this way. It's a natural turn. That's how your body is designed. So through anatomic structure and just unrehearsed train, when you go to grab something like such as a gun, you naturally put it up and your hand turn. We even teach our officers to, if you're going to shoot one hand, don't hold it straight up because you can't mitigate the recoil. But this way is a lot stronger. If you look at a fighter, fighters don't fight like this. They turn because that's where a lot of power and strength is. So if you're going to hold a gun and fire at one hand or firearm, turn it like 45 degrees and you can mitigate the recoil. Mitigate the recoil, you can get more rounds on target with accuracy.
Wow. See, I couldn't say that. All those fancy words he was using.
I like that.
8 years of college, I couldn't express it that way. See, I needed Mr. Miyagi to be able to explain the anatomy. Right? I would have said,
I like that.
Bro, I'm just nice. I'm nice with it.
I like that.
I do this. This is what I do. That's why I can do it. Right? But he's explaining to a higher level, and even on a subconscious level of our expanding with the fighting.
It makes a lot of sense, though.
Right?
It really does, because that is the natural turn of the yeah. So you can't really go wrong because you're in your element, if you will, right? Oh wow,
think about it, right? So a lot of times what we say, and you'll hear me say it, even when I was teaching your family today, there's sometimes you have instructors that are too rigid, right? They're almost like not human. Going back to we're human, like when people like to see cops and put them as if they're not human. They're just a human with a uniform and a badge that was given authority by us, right? Because the only reason they have authority is power because we allow people to put that structure in place. I'm telling you, firsthand experience, he does not go around identifying as an officer. When I seen him for the first time, I had to call him out on it because I received his. I seen a picture of him and I seen his badge and his ID. So I'm like, a guy walks in looking for guns. I got to use this thing up here to say, okay, who is he and what is they coming in? The same way you don't go around boasting and talking about your past. Like that just happened through organic conversation. And so when we go through this world, sometimes people always say, well, this is the way it has to be. This is the way it has to be.
Yeah.
The colors, dude. The colors. Like this world is filled with colors.
Yeah.
There's no black and white. There's a reason that we enjoy television so much more these days than we did in the past. Right?
Yeah, right.
That's good. That's good. I
Because
like
back
that.
then it was new.
Yeah.
But after a while it got boring. When your brain starts to get filled with all those fancy endorphins or whatever it may be.
Now you can buy a 50-inch for $232.
There's some clowns that got 5 feet of space and got a 75-inch TV on their wall.
Got it for $1. Over there at the Walmart. Incredible.
We in this studio looking at a 75-inch TV. The producer acting like he don't have money. Exactly. When the producer's all in your videos.
Yeah. That part. That's all right.
That's why the invoice come right
We got upgrades, bro. We got upgrades. We got these upgrades coming. We got mics on the table now.
Yeah, nice.
Bro, I met the producer when the producer was producing out of his closet, bro. Now the producer got me with $600 microphones.
That's what you spent.
I'm able to get multiple guests on screen.
That's what's up.
I don't have to be touching your elbows and your knees,
That's all
caps
right.
underneath the table. I'm telling you, the producer's making it. The producer's making it. I gotta get in. I'm not gonna pay the next. I'm not paying the next invoice. Though. This guy's paying the next invoice. This guy's paying the next invoice. But we can go on all day because this is what I like to do: have genuine, organic conversations with real people, having real conversations. So I want to thank you for blessing me and hopefully blessing my audience with your presence. There's some stuff that we didn't even get to have the opportunity to talk about that's gun related. And if I ever have the opportunity to have you on again, I'm definitely gonna want to dive deeper into more stories of specific encounters that you've had throughout your life, because you never really answered Rob's question as far as whether or not the institution is reformative.
Okay, I can answer that very quickly.
Go ahead.
It's according to the person.
I was gonna say that. Yep.
Go ahead.
It's according to the person, because you can have one person, right, that can get a week in jail and never go back, and be like, oh my God, I'm just afraid, and they don't eat for the whole week, and it's crazy. Their life is over, right? Then you get that one person that says, you know what, I'll be back.
Looking forward to it.
They're looking forward to it.
Looking forward to it.
See, leave the door open.
You my boy. I'll be back.
Yeah, boom.
Make sure we bunkies next time I'm here.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yo, what up, CO? I'm back.
Yeah.
But there's some really mad cool, like you would say, dope people who just made a bad decision, man. It blow your mind to be able, like, I'm a firm believer. If you're gonna be a police officer, if I had it my way, you have to go and spend 3 to 6 months in a maximum security.
That would be dope.
To understand and listen, because once you see this young man right here in his situation in the prison, you don't have stereotype, you don't have bias. You just listen to him as a person, and then you start to look at, like, when you go home, like I did, like, damn, I could be him on some stupid stuff that I've done, you know, or hurrying to work where I knew I should have been up a lot earlier, driving well over the speed limit, and I hit a family. You know what I'm saying? It humbles you, and you learn as a cop. This is where I got my foundation for how to talk to people, is in a correctional facility, because you don't have all that Batman gear, you have the gift to talk and understand and be humble.
And then another thing, when you are a CO versus an inmate, this is a whole different thing. You got guys that don't have a family, don't have to do anything. All they're doing is hitting the weights, doing push-ups. You take weights away from them, they're doing push-ups. Listen, within a month, you got a machine. Let you know right now, you got a machine. They don't feel nothing. They will choke you out with their hands. They don't need nothing to do it with.
Nope.
And then, of course, we have our things that we use. You get your Lisa soap, put that in the sock.
That's some sort of stories I want to hear.
Yeah, you got your Lisa soap. You put those in the sock.
Get real creative.
Yeah.
In the military, it's called locking the sock.
Yeah, and then you could take your lock. Now, there's a way that you got to do it. You take your lock, right? You could put it. If you put it inside the sock, the lock might come through the sock. So what you have to do is you got to loop it and tie it. Put a couple of knots in it and then swing it. So it won't. So the sock won't break. And you can't use them stay socks. You got to use the one from the commissary because they'll break. Yeah, I know about this stuff. Yeah.
I used it a few times. There's a few people that got a lock in the sock.
Listen, so real quick, I know we got to go. When I was in Summers, the showers are crazy, right?
What does that mean?
The showers.
No, I know, but what makes them crazy?
Well, because you're open. It's in G Block. There is like a room like this where you go take a shower. The shower, showers coming from the thing, and you're dealing with a higher caliber of craziness, right? A whole bunch of people. They're crazy. A whole bunch of craziness going on. So you can get raped. A lot of things can happen in these places. So one of the tricks that I learned was I would bring my they give you the laundry bag, and I would bring my laundry bag in, but my lock would be tied to my sock, and I would use it as a cloth. Right? So I would have it on the side, would use the cloth, but then every now and then I'll take the lock, and kind of like just to make sure, just in case if it has to happen, I can flip it around, and we can get to working.
Right.
We can get to work.
Batman.
Yeah, we gonna get to work.
See how you had to survive there? It is when you listen to these stories and listen. This is for me. I'm speaking for myself. And you are from the culture and the environment where you have to survive. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
I don't know how many people I've met who sold drugs, and they were doing it, didn't really want to do it, but they had to do it because of the situation they were born into, raised in, and they were just trying to provide. That's not everybody, but it is some people out there, So when you ask me about being on this side in law enforcement, I just believe you don't take anything personal. You just humble yourself and try to learn, through educations like what you're talking about, Sid. And just hearing your story.
It would be cool if correctional officers and police officers would take that time to have the dialogue. I think that would be cool. I'm not saying that you have that the correctional officer or the police officer has to agree.
Right.
I'm not saying that. Wrong is wrong, right is right.
Right.
I mean, you just can't be walking around killing people and selling drugs.
Exactly.
That's just what it is. You can't justify that.
Without paying taxes.
Yeah.
Without paying taxes. Come on.
But you know what? They're doing that already now. They're selling weed 100 miles an hour. They're drug dealers now. So
yeah, it's wrong when you do it, right?
Yeah.
It's wrong when you do it. In the 80s and 90s, when you did it, where's your reparation?
That's another podcast. It's a whole nother podcast. Yeah. I have a whole lot of things to say about that. Yeah. So you got guys still doing time for weed, and that part.
Yeah, you did time probably for what? Heroin? You did time for heroin? You ever sold heroin?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, you ever did your time, so we could disclose it, right?
Yes.
But yet, I go to get a prescription. Pharmacy in the medical field is doing the same thing. They don't get time. We got a whole pandemic going on. Epidemic. Is it epidemic?
I don't even want to get into that. That's a whole thing.
That's a little bit more than Motrin.
That's more.
Yeah, right. Yeah. That's a whole thing. When you start talking about the drug lords that are in Cuba and all these different places. How is this stuff getting here? How does that work? There's a lot of the dynamics that goes to that. So how is it getting into the projects?
Pfizer. What are you talking about?
You see what I'm saying? And then all of a sudden, mysteriously, America, our debts are being paid off. How did that happen? El Chapo. So I'm just saying. So you go raid El Chapo's house and he has an undisclosed amount of money. Them dudes put money in the ceilings inside the houses. They digging ditches. No, there's no receipts on that. So when they go send those people in, what are they doing? They're robbing them, right? And they're paying deficits off. Come on. So all of a sudden, 450,000 keys show up in Florida because they knocked off somebody that was coming across with 100,000. You see that? You see how that goes?
I have the audacity to give you 10 years.
Yeah.
What's going on?
So you see how that goes?
Just trying to feed my kids. Just trying to feed my family, and I have an addiction from selling drugs.
Yeah, so I'm just saying. So
I'm not the user.
There's a bigger ball. There's a bigger thing, because if you're policing right, how did it get in?
Exactly.
How did it get in? What happened? That means America doesn't allow nothing to happen unless they're getting paid for it. We got bills.
It's true.
We got bills.
We got bills. We funding wars. We got bills, man. Yeah, Russia, they acting up. We got bills. Middle East, they acting up. We got bills, man. We got to pay these people. Yeah.
Listen to him. Okay. Listen to him.
No, because then he's going to start. I know he's going to be. I said he's going to go down it. If you want to transition, we transition. We just got to find a way. But say that another time. I said Free going to
this man said it, though.
He knew it was going to cut the tape. Cut the tape. No, but I appreciate both of y'all. This week was real. Obviously, I'm getting ready to leave. And this is probably the most fun I've had all week.
Oh, nice.
So I appreciate the dynamic that you guys bring and being able to have. It's crazy, right? He understands your terminology. You understand his terminology, but you're on opposite sides of the fence or the field. And I'm over here like, you're over here using these acronyms. I'm like, I don't even know what ATM means, let alone y'all talking about SRG and all this other stuff. I'm like, huh? Talk to these people. Hopefully these viewers don't know what SRG is or have been spending. But if you have, come get those pardon services that I offer. Right?
Yeah.
Shameless plug. Yeah. No, it's not shameless.
No, not shameless.
I take pride in my plugs.
Yeah.
I take pride in my plugs.
Yeah.
Come get those pardon services. Services, Mr. Miyagi, if you want real grassroots firearms training and you want it to be done at a pace that's specific and catered to the individual, he does it. He does it and he makes the time to do it. Good. Where I done seen people try to say, okay, we're here, and then you put 100 rounds down range and see you still got a lot of work done. He's gonna make sure that, my staff is his protege. Like, that's how sick he is, that once I found out who trained and got to know him, it's like, yes, I need you on my team because I vouch for his skill set. Once we get on the range together, though.
Here we go.
We're
gonna have to have the podcast come out to the range.
Yeah, you have to do the whole podcast on the range. Oh, that'd be dope. Do the whole podcast on the range.
Yeah.
And let me get busy,
so
right?
y'all can talk trash to each other?
100%. You know that's what I do. That's what I take pride in. That's what I take pride in. I'm not saying I could beat him.
But
I'm gonna try to whoop his. I'm gonna try to whoop him.
Sis, I don't know what he's talking about, to be honest with you. I don't know anything about a lot of guns. I just know I can help people. That's it. I'm not a great shooter at all.
Bring that Glock. I'll bring my Springfield Echelon. And we go. Now, if you talking about some moving stuff, he's used to moving and shooting.
Yeah, well, that's
part of the
whole police thing, right? You got to
is-
hit things that move.
and be moving at the same time. Because the standing target is an easy target. A sitting target is an easy target. So,
You say that, and you're very like 100% on the point, on point with that. A lot of people don't understand that.
Well, when I was in the streets, I didn't have nobody that was gonna stand still. They didn't stand still.
Stop moving.
Come here, man. I wanna shoot you. They wouldn't stand still. So more than likely, when it pop off, they running, right? So one of the things that I made up in my mind. This is all barbed wire and and hay, if you will. I'm kind of like made it up myself. So what I would do is, if I know the direction that they're running, I'll stop them.
You hear this guy?
Yeah. Oh, hold on.
I'll shoot forward so they can run into it.
You hear this guy?
Right? Because I didn't
You
know.
had no training.
I had no training. I had no idea how this works.
There's the errant rounds.
So I would try to get it within a nice little millimeter, if you will, and I know the direction that they're going. I can at least get a shoulder, spin them around a little bit. Now I got them.
Oh, the second shot, the follow-up shot.
Now we got a follow-up shot. Now don't know how many it's gonna take in order for me to get to the shoulder. We work it out.
That's when those Mac 11s and those Uzis.
That's when all that stuff comes in handy. So I'm just saying. So, that's how I learned how to learn past tense. But I know now, like I said, now that I'm getting better education, learning a little bit more about the history of guns. I love the history of guns. Learning about the Browning, learning about the 1911, just the history part of it. It helps me better understand the weapon and how it works.
No. It helps you better learn the firearm, the gun, and the tool.
Okay, I'll go with that.
Right? It's a tool that's utilized for a specific purpose that's there to defend and protect your life.
Okay.
When we identify this tool as a weapon, remember, language is powerful, right? Words that we choose is very powerful. The military uses weapons because they are assertive. We are passive and we're defending ourselves. So we're using our utility belt of tools to keep our lives or preserve our lives. When we use words like weapons, it means we're the aggressor, right? I'm using a defensive tool that's gonna change the behavior of the object or the thing that wants to cause me harm.
Got you.
You feel me? That's where our high capacity magazines. There's no such thing as a high capacity magazine.
There is no such thing
There's
as a high
standard capacity magazine. Our state's laws restrict the amount of rounds we can have in our standard capacity magazines. And so when we start to work on the psychological, like we were talking about with the prison system, we allow society to absorb this information through a different lens, through a different vessel that educates and informs them of what it truly is. Don't get me, not every firearm was designed to take life, right? There's some firearms that's designed specifically for competition.
Yes, right.
Right? Or accuracy at a long distance. How the individuals decide to utilize that tool
That's it.
is what makes it a weapon. If I take this microphone, which I won't because I don't have $600 to replace it, and bash you in the face with it, this microphone then becomes a weapon.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes, is how you decide to
Nice.
utilize the object. That lock was not designed to be put in a sock and smack somebody in the face with it. It was to secure things.
Yeah. Yeah.
You guys decide to put it in a sock.
I'm going home.
I'm going home.
Yeah,
That's every day.
I'm going home. I'm gonna get there. So
Exactly. 7 days a week.
you choose.
Right.
You have to make a choice. So I learned something.
Every day. I learned something.
I learned a lot from this guy.
Yeah. He's
lot.
cool.
He's one that he gets to pass, but once we do the NRA curriculum, he no longer gets to use that word, that WE word, that we are pawn. We a pawn.
What is
weapon? Weapon. We a pawn.
Oh.
We a pawn.
Yeah, I stay away from that. I stay
you
away
already
from
transition?
gun. I use firearm.
Fire.
Oh, firearm.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
It's easy because that's what they were trained in when you have military background. Let's be real.
You have military background?
Their roles are different. And that's also right because his role as a correctional officer is different than your role.
Definitely.
Right?
Yeah.
He's there to enforce and keep order. You're there to do your time. And some people feel like they're there to disrupt it, right? Create chaos. And so that's where I get to the point where I even if I just talk to one person a day or one person and change that mindset.
Yes.
Right? Because when I was younger, it was the mindset, you're black, you're not supposed to have guns.
Yep.
Right?
And you know, funny you said that because when I was younger, I wanted to get into to reloading. I wanted to get into making bullets and all the firearm, you know, all that stuff. I was really into it, but then the streets happened, you know, and I wasn't able to do none of that stuff, you know. So I was always into it, but you know, like I said, things changed. You know, come from a family that fourth generation drug dealer. So, and it was always something that was embraced. So just think about that for a minute. So how do I become a police officer?
Facts.
Right?
There's no role model that ever.
Yeah,
none of my role models.
That doesn't even, you know. Yeah, that's not even a color on the Rubik's cube. Right?
True. Spin it all you want.
You're never gonna get that. You're never gonna get that.
No, you're not.
Not gonna get that, my friend. You're not gonna get it.
Wow, that's deep.
So you know, there are some people that come from. Unfortunately, there are some people that come from environments like that.
Right.
You know, and I choose to change the narrative for me and my family. I choose to change the narrative. I choose to say, no, we're not going to do that. And I've lost a lot of family members because I said I choose not to live that life.
That makes sense.
I lost a lot of them. And it's okay. I ain't shedding no tears. You're fine where you're at.
Right.
I'm fine with it. This is my decision. And you can't be mad because I want to make a decision.
Right.
To change. Because I don't want to go back to jail.
Right.
Because I don't want to get shot.
I do understand because I have a cousin who was involved. He was leader. He was 6'3", but he was a bad dude. In gaining respect, you know, in so many different ways. That's part. I say that you're a bad dude with respect to how powerful you are and have been to change, and that's why I wanted to know what it was that you changed, because you're a leader of a gang. Usually when you get into a gang, it's hard as hell to get out. But you're a leader. And here you are now speaking some education to so many that can take so much away from. That there is opportunity, there is change from when you've gone through some adversity in life. And like I said, when you're in jail, if you're a CO and you're talking to brothers, you would never know what they did. They could have done the most heinous and most crazy crime
and don't look like they ever did anything in their life. Wow.
So this is a testament. You are a testament to perseverance, will, power, glory to God. You know what I'm saying? I hope you're spreading this back to.
When I got out of the gang, that was crazy. So when I received Christ and I was, you know, reading and really understanding the power that He has, and that even though weapons were formed, they wouldn't prosper against me. And I just said, you know what? I'm just gonna get out the gang. Just popped in my head. I'm just gonna go get out. So we were in Enfield. And I go down to the auditorium, and I said, they were all gathered and everything. I said,
You're free. Go ahead.
I said, I don't want to be a part.
Can you take a picture?
I said, I don't want to be a part.
It's still recorded too, so you good. Yeah, he'll do it.
I said, I don't want to be a part of this no more. Then I went back to my cell, and the Spanish dudes one of the Spanish dudes, he was one of the presidents of the Latin Kings in Enfield, and I prayed for his mother, and his mother was very sick, and so he came to me and we prayed, and then we found out that his mother got healed and she was doing better and everything, and so he came to my son and said, "Yo, you know they about to come get you." You know he's Spanish, so he's like,
So he's Latin King.
yeah.
If you don't mind,
Mhm.
is this recording? You might not want to disclose this.
Mm-hmm.
Who were you down with?
Brotherhood.
Okay, so I don't
This
remember
was-
I
yeah,
don't
yeah.
remember the dynamics of who rocked with who didn't rock.
First of all, Latin Kings didn't really like a whole lot of people.
Right, exactly.
They were very controversial.
So that's deep.
Yeah.
That you prayed for his mom,
Mhm.
and then he can let you know
Yeah,
because he can get done.
yeah. So
Yeah.
he was like, "Yo, man, like I'm not gonna let nothing happen to you because
That's deep. I got
because of
chills.
what you did for
Now who's coming for you?
the Brotherhood's coming for me
okay.
now
'Cause you wanna get out.
because I want to get out."
Oh, okay.
Right? And so I when they came, so the Spanish guy was like, "Well, listen, I'm not gonna let this happen," and I'm in the middle of it. No. There's not gonna be any violence because this is not what I stand for anymore. Did all that before. We're not gonna do that now. Said, how can you say that I'm a man of God if I'm gonna allow violence? That doesn't make any sense, right?
Right.
It was like, okay, all right. So Brotherhood, they're mad, but they couldn't touch me. And it wasn't because of the Latin Kings, it was because of God. Because I choose not to do that no more. God is always gonna back your decisions.
And you were genuine.
And I was
You
genuine
weren't
about
half
it.
fit. You
I
wasn't 1 foot in, 1 foot out.
No, it wasn't. No, because I wasn't scared of none of them anyway. You know, because I knew what it was. It is what it is.
Right.
You know, I know that that I can get touched. I understand that, but the Bible says this is. You have to understand when you start giving your issues to God, it's not about what people say. It's not about what it looks like. It's about what He says. So if He say I can come out of it, I'm gonna come out of it.
Right.
And that's what it was. It had nothing to do with me. Had nothing to do with if I was a bad person, a good person, or indifferent. It had everything to do with I'm sticking to what God said about me, about my life. Proving Him to His word. That's what it was all about.
Wow.
So
Wow.
I
Much
give all the
respect.
glory to Him because I have no power
Right.
to get through none of the stuff that I've gotten through. Like I told you, I was in a place of suicide, right? So He took over when I let go. So I have no power.
Let go to will. Someone's got to grab it, right?
I have no power. I have no power. None at all. And it's because of Him that I'm out of the gangs. It's because of Him that I'm out of the streets. Now. There are times where finances can get a little rocky, and I'll say to myself, well, if I can find Flacco again and he can, give me a little bit of this and I can, just one turnover or whatever,
Shake and bake.
Yeah, a little shake and bake.
A little razzle dazzle.
But then I always come back to it. That's how it starts. Because I don't know too many people that will be able to make $100,000 and say, I don't want to make another $100,000 no more.
Facts.
I don't know too many people. I'm sorry.
I don't know too many people either.
I know they're out there. But once you get bit by the greedy bug, you're done. You're done. I'm telling you right now, you're done. And that's how people get so caught up in it. Because $100,000 is different in everybody's ears, right? To some people, it may not be a lot of money. But whatever your number is, that's what the devil is going to put in. He's going to set there. Some people do it for $10.
Yeah, facts. Take your life
Right?
for $10.
It's just the same way. Like when I was in the drug game, if I could buy you with the amount of drugs that I have, right? Doesn't make a difference if you sell drugs or not. It doesn't make a difference if you smoke drugs or not. Doesn't matter.
Right.
All I got to do is say, if I have enough, hey, why don't you go to New York and cop for me? They're like, man, I ain't going. Well, listen, I'll tell you what. If you go, I'll give you 2 ounces. You going. Right?
If that's your choice of drug.
Watch this. No, he's not a drug addict.
Oh, he's not a drug addict.
Mm-mm.
Oh, he's another dealer.
Yeah, he's another dealer.
Gotcha.
And you're a lower dealer.
Mm-hmm.
That 2 ounces is going to put you on.
Right.
Right?
Yep.
Now, watch this. We got somebody that's drug dependent. I can get them to do that for $15.
Mm.
Right?
Yep.
Because all he wants is a hit.
Yep.
It's just that your hit's more expensive.
Right.
Has nothing to do with the actual drugs. It has everything to do with the psychology of it.
Mm-hmm.
This the way, and I love the way you guys teach gun safety or weapon safety. You know what's the word I gotta use? Firearm safety.
Firearm gun.
Yeah. I love the way you guys teach because you teach from a psychology standpoint, as far as stance, as far as like you were teaching today, as far as how the mind meets the eye, just different signs and how he told us to do this, and and we were able to see what side of the brain we're actually thinking on.
Right.
It's all about the psychology. You got to know how to move that psychology around. You will be surprised. Most people that are reformed go into psychology because it's second nature to them. Because you have to be manipulative in order to be a drug dealer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, last point. It's impossible to say that you are a drug dealer if you're not a good liar.
Okay.
How many people have you pulled over and they said, I don't got nothing in the car. And you know, doggone well, they got something in the car.
Yep.
How many people that you pulled over and said, I ain't do it? The evidence said you did it, bro.
Yeah.
How many people, am I right or wrong?
You're right.
How many women have drug dealers been with to say, oh, it wasn't me?
Mm-hmm.
Professional liars, manipulators, right?
And some of them are real good.
They're real good. So, right, now watch this. If you take a good manipulator, liar, cheater, and change his life, he turns into a therapist.
And that's crazy, right?
Right?
Yeah.
So you're saying that the therapist is manipulating, lying, and cheating?
No, I'm saying is that
I get what you're saying.
What I'm saying is that, okay, so watch this. I'm going to put it in a very simple form. You have an angel and you have a demon.
Mm-hmm.
The demon is the reverse part of an angel.
Mm-hmm.
Polar opposites, right?
Right?
Extreme opposites. Yeah.
Extreme opposites. So the manipulator, liar, all that stuff, all that is just the other part of being good.
Oh, gotcha.
Right?
So now
I know how to manipulate, but I manipulate you into a good way.
Right.
Gotcha.
And that's what that's what that psychology is really about, right? It's trying to get the person, trying to get that thing out of the person so they can see it. Basically, you put it on the table so they can see what they're dealing with, right? And then try to show them a better way of dealing with the issue.
Can I push? My brain is cooking.
Yeah.
So a lot of reformed drug dealers become therapists. Am I wrong in saying that there's also probably a lot of former drug dealers becoming preachers
Yes.
or becoming like outreach workers?
Yes. It makes sense. It makes sense because I have a lot of the things, like when I used to go out evangelizing and going into projects and preaching and doing all these different things and passing food out for the homeless on the green and all that stuff. My church used to love to go with me because a lot of things that these people are saying, that I'm not bothered by it. Oh, I'm gonna do it. Yeah, all right. Yeah, all right. Yeah, I know. So basically, I'll ignore that and say, okay, let's talk about what really matters. Mm-hmm. Okay, listen, you don't got no shoes, and we need to get you some shoes.
That's right.
All right, you're hungry. You look like you're shaking. You look like you need some dope. So what are we gonna do to fix these problems? they're looking at me like, oh my God, how did that happen? Well, because I understand you have to know what to look for. And then that's when you began to start explaining to them, "Yeah, listen, man, I'm here because I care. I have some place to go. I got some place to live. You know, I'm here because I care. Nobody's shooting at me. They're shooting at you. So I put myself in. You see what I'm saying? You got to give something in order. You have to give and take. You know, you don't shoot me. I help you get yourself together. How about that? And I crack them up. They'd be like, yeah, well, you know, you make a little bit of sense. Yeah, I make a whole lot of sense. How many times you been shot? And then that's when the breakdown comes. And so I'm also a licensed chaplain. So there are times where we're able to ride with police officers and go out in the community. And sometimes they ask us to actually go to the houses for people that are deceased and different things like that. And when you begin to start seeing what police officers deal with and what they go through, we understand why they drink a lot. I understand because you just got finished doing a crime scene with someone that's your son's age or your daughter's age. You can't imagine what that feels like to go home. Your mind is all over the place. You need something to calm you down. Because there's the adrenaline that comes with all of that stuff.
Highs and lows.
Yeah. So my job is to ride with them and pray and try to keep them calm. I'm not talking about being weird.
Right.
I'm not talking about being weird. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. I'm saying, you know, you talk to them like they're human beings. Not like, oh, you're gonna go to hell. No. We talk, try to figure some things out. Let's work out some kind of a list of some of the things that we need to do when these things happen. You know, what do we do when these things happen? Okay, this is your job. So are you always going to grab a bottle of beer or a bottle of liquor every time this happens? And how is that going to work for you in the future? You know, the chances of getting cirrhosis of the liver is real. The chances of you getting fired is real because you can't control your drinking. Right?
You're right.
Because we have to find something in order to deal with the trauma of whatever it is that we're doing. Am I right or wrong?
Makes sense.
Right? Some people grab weed, some people grab drugs, weed, alcohol, crack, whatever it is. But it doesn't matter what you grab because it still has the power to make you an addict.
Right.
It doesn't matter because you never came to a resolve of the problem. You medicated it.
True.
And what happens with medication? It wears off.
I was gonna say eventually it wears off.
Or you build up a tolerance for it.
Or you build up a tolerance for it, right? That's
You
why
keep on building
that's
up.
why you have these doctors going to jail. Right? They're going to jail because they done got used to the drugs. So these are the kind of things that happen. And these are the kind of things that I'm around for. I'm around to help and try to bring some resolve and try to give different ways of dealing with issues. It's not good to always have to run to a bottle or a bag
Right.
just because you want to have a good time. Usually people that say that, it's usually because they're dealing with something.
So true.
95% of the time it's usually because you're dealing with something. Because I can find a whole lot of things to do that have nothing to do with altering my mind.
Right. Make me feel good.
Right?
Give me a natural high.
Yeah, that kind of thing. So, you know, we have to really think about that, man. So I did a class not too long ago, and I said to one of the ladies, I said, well, if getting high is so fun, why don't you go out there, grab some drugs, and give it to your daughter? Because kids love having fun. oh, the whole class got mad. No. Let's figure this out. You said that you like to have fun, and kids love to have fun, right? So why don't you get you a big bottle of liquor and share it with your 7-year-old kid? Because that's fun. Or is this a getaway?
Mm-hmm.
So which one is it? So let's be real with what's going on. Is it because you have issues that are compressed inside of you that secretly you're trying to forget? We have to have the conversation. And me saying it in that abrupt way breaks the monotony and brings down the fake stuff. You know, people be like, oh well, you know, I do this. No, it breaks all that stuff down. So I guess we got like eight segments here, huh?
Yeah, you got a lot. You're responsible for it. I don't even know how to wrap it up. I don't even know how to bring it to a conclusion, because it's like every time we get to that point of conclusion, something spawns a new conversation. So I'll be abrupt and concluding it by saying, let's share our social media ways that people get in contact with us, whether it is because I think that people may now reach out to you not only for your ability to produce attire, apparel, things of that nature, but your spiritual guidance. So how they can reach you?
You can reach me at menwhopray@gmail.com. That's my email. You can also reach me on my Facebook page, Uncaged Intellect. I also have another page, Uncaged Intellect. No, Uncaged Tumblr and things.
Okay.
You can also reach me there. And all the information is there or whatever. I'm all over the place.
All over it.
Yeah.
Rob, as always.
You can reach me at rbstrickland@dts540.com. And you can reach me on Facebook under rbdts540 Strickland. And my Instagram is the same, rbdts540 Strickland.
Cool. Thank you all. And as always, it's an honor. Appreciate you. I can be reached or followed at Instagram at Bullseye_LLC. Facebook, I believe, is Bullseye LLC. Wherever. If you go on the website, you can get in contact with me as well, www.bullseye-llc.com. And that's it.
All right.
Had a great time.